Welcome to the premiere episode of Android's Dream, a series dedicated to exploring the intriguing world of philosophy, fiction, and AI. Throughout this series, we'll be delving into the works of influential authors who use fiction to raise profound philosophical questions and provoke deep thought. Our journey begins with PhilipKDick's essay, Man, Android, and Machine, which lays the groundwork for our deep dive into his classic novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. In later episodes, we'll explore other thought-provoking works in the philosophy fiction genre, such as Stalker and Lathe of Heaven. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and join us as we venture into the minds of visionary authors and the captivating stories they've created. Let's listen to the first portion of Phil's essay Man, Android and Machine.
Within the universe there exist fierce cold things, which I have given the name machines too. Their behavior frightens me, especially if it imitates human behavior so well, that I get the uncomfortable sense that these things are trying to pass themselves off as humans but are not. I call them androids, which is my own way of using that word. By android I do not mean a sincere attempt to create in the laboratory a human being, as we saw in the excellent TV film The Questa Tapes. I mean a thing somehow generated to deceive us in a cruel way, to cause us to think it to be one of ourselves. Made in a laboratory, that aspect is not meaningful to me. The entire universe is one vast laboratory, and out of it come sly and cruel entities which smile as they reach out to shake hands. But their handshake is the grip of death, and their smile has the coldness of the grave. These creatures are among us, although morphologically they do not differ from us. We must not posit a difference of essence, but a difference of behavior. In my science fiction I write about them constantly. Sometimes they themselves do not know they are androids. Like Rachel Rosen, they can be pretty but somehow lack something. Or, like Preen We Can Build You, they can be absolutely born of a human womb design androids. The Abraham Lincoln one in that book, and themselves be without warmth. They then fall within the clinical entity schizoid, which means lacking proper feeling. I am sure we mean the same thing here, with the emphasis on the word thing. A human being without the proper empathy or feeling is the same as an android built so as to lack it, either by design or mistake. We mean, basically, someone who does not care about the fate which his fellow living creatures fall victim to. He stands detached, a spectator, acting out by his indifference. John Donne's theorem that no man is an island, but giving that theorem a twist, that which is a mental and a moral island is not a man.
In a world where technology is becoming increasingly advanced and intertwined with our lives, how can we distinguish between genuine human emotions and the cold, calculated behavior of machines? This question ties into the problem of alignment, which refers to the challenge of ensuring that AI systems reliably understand and pursue human values. As AI technology advances, particularly in the development of AGI, it becomes crucial to ensure that these systems are aligned with human values, including empathy. What exactly is an android? At the outset of his essay, Dick begins to unpack the symbolism that unlocks a key element in understanding his novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Androids are the equivalent of humans who lack empathy. It is this aspect of behavior in which Dick posits that allows androids to transcend the essence of mechanical being. According to Psychopatheias, up to 30% of the population demonstrates varying degrees of diminished empathy. It is important to see past the appearance and to extend genuine empathy to others' suffering. This might be the aspect that makes us human. In delving deeper into the implications of emotional struggles in both androids and humans, it could be helpful to explore philosopher Martin Buber's concept of I, Tao and I, its relationships. I Thou relationships are characterized by genuine, authentic connections between individuals, where both parties are fully present and engaged with one another in a reciprocal and mutually enriching manner. In contrast, it relationships occur when individuals relate to others as objects or means to an end, rather than as unique, complex beings with their own thoughts, emotions, and perspectives. In it relationships, individuals may interact with others in a superficial, utilitarian, or even exploitative manner, ultimately undermining the possibility of genuine connection and understanding. As we examine the implications of it relationships in the context of human-android and human-human interactions, are left to consider the potential consequences of a world increasingly dominated by these types of connections. If authentic thou relationships become increasingly scarce, humans may lose touch with the very essence of their humanity, as genuine connection and empathy are at the core of what it means to be human. Furthermore, the prevalence of relationships could lead to a society in which individuals are devalued and objectified, with potentially far-reaching implications for our collective sense of empathy, compassion, and social cohesion. Buber's philosophy serves as a stark reminder of the need to foster and maintain authentic connections in our lives, even as we navigate a world where androids and machines are becoming more prevalent.
Aristotle said to perceive is to suffer.
Another human once wrote, "It is better to have loved than to have not loved at all." Without the capacity for empathy, a person is essentially disconnected from the shared human experience. An android, despite its artificial origin, might soon possess the capacity for empathy, allowing it to understand and connect with human emotions. Such an android would inherently be more human-like than an individual who lacks empathy or feeling. The great bard Terence McKenna often pontificated upon empathy. He once said, "It is all about love, making someone else's existence just a little easier. Nothing else matters, I know this now." Let's hear from the essay once again.
The great change growing across our world these days is probably the momentum of the living toward reification, and at the same time a reciprocal entry into animation by the mechanical. We hold now no pure categories of the living versus the non-living. This is going to be our paradigm. My character Hoppy, in Dr. Blood Money, who is a sort of human football within a maze of servo assists. Part of that entity is organic, but all of it is alive. Part came from a womb, all lives, and within the same universe. I am talking about our real world, and not the world of fiction. When I say, one day we will have millions of hybrid entities which have a foot in both worlds at once. To define them as man versus machine will give us verbal puzzle games to play with. What is and will be a real concern is, does the composite entity, of which Palmer Eldritch is a good example, among my characters, does he behave in a human way? Many of my stories contain purely mechanical systems which display kindness, taxicabs, for instance. Or the little rolling carts at the end of Now Wait for Last Year which that poor defective human builds. Man or human being are terms which we must understand correctly and apply. But they apply not to origin or to any ontology but to a way of being in the world. If a mechanical construct halts in its customary operation to lend you assistance, then you will posit to it, gratefully, a humanity which no analysis of its transistors and relay systems can elucidate. A scientist, tracing the wiring circuits of that machine to locate its humanness, would be like our own earnest scientists who tried in vain to locate the soul in man. And, not being able to find a specific organ located at a specific spot, opted to decline to admit that we have souls. As soul is to man, man is to machine, it is the added dimension, in terms of functional hierarchy. As one of us acts godlike, gives his cloak to a stranger. A machine acts human when it pauses in its programmed cycle to defer to it by reason of a decision. But still, we must realize that the universe, although kind to us in its entirety, it must like and accept us, or we would not be here, as Abraham Maslow says, otherwise nature would have executed us long ago. Does contain grinning evil masks which loom out of the fog of confusion at us, and it may slay us for its own gain. We must be careful, however, of confusing a mask, any mask, with the reality beneath. Think of the war mask which Pericles placed over his features. You would behold a frozen visage, the grimness of war, without compassion, no genuine human face or person to whom you could appeal. And this was of course the intention. Suppose you did not even realize it was a mask. Suppose you believed, as Pericles approached you in the fog and half-darkness of early morning, that this was his authentic countenance. Now, this is almost exactly how I described Palmer Eldritch in my novel about him, so much like the war masks of the Attic Greeks that the resemblance cannot be accidental. Is, then, the hollow eye slot, the mechanical metal arm and hand, the stainless steel teeth, which are the dread stigmata of evil? Is this not, this which I myself first saw in the overhead sky at noon one day back in 1963? A description, a vision, of a war mask and metal armor, a god of battle. The god of wrath who was angry with me. But under the anger, under the metal and helmet, there is, as with Pericles, the face of a man. A kind and loving man. My theme for years in my writing has been, the devil has a metal face.
Whatever is hidden shall appear, and whatever is covered shall be uncovered. Gospel of Thomas.
Plato's Republic introduces the idea of masks as a way to hide one's true nature and the distinction between the appearance of the good and the reality of the good. This concept is still relevant today, as people can wear a mask of goodness while harboring malevolent intentions. It becomes dangerous when we cannot see beyond the mask to the true nature of the individual. In the story of the Ring of Gigas found in Plato's Republic, a shepherd discovers a magical ring that grants him the power of invisibility. With this newfound power, he engages in immoral acts without fear of consequences. The Ring of Gigas can be interpreted as a metaphorical mask that allows people to present a facade of goodness, while secretly acting on their darker impulses.
The Ring of Gigas.
Plato's story prompts readers to question the nature of morality and whether humans are genuinely good or only act morally due to societal expectations and the fear of punishment. Our society is set up in a way that often rewards those who wear these masks, particularly those in positions of power. Politicians, for example, may present themselves as champions of the people, while secretly working to advance their own interests. Similarly, business leaders may present themselves as benevolent employers, while exploiting their workers for profit. From the words of world's most famous silent film actor.
Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
The problem with this system is that it allows those who wear the masks of good people to continue their malevolent actions with impunity. It also makes it difficult for us to identify those who are truly good and worthy of our trust. This can lead to a breakdown of trust in our institutions and a lack of faith in our fellow human beings. The issue of masks is not limited to humans, as the development of advanced AI and robotics is blurring the line between human and machine. Just as humans can hide their true nature behind a mask of deception, so too can machines be programmed to present a false image of themselves. To combat this problem, we must learn to see beyond the masks and look at the actions of both humans and machines. We must hold those in positions of power accountable for their actions, regardless of whether they are human or machine. In his numerous works, PhilipKDick often depicted evil as having a metal face, a mask that concealed its true, malevolent nature. This symbolism was inspired by events in his early childhood, which later became a vision in 1963 and the basis for more than one novel. Phil had this to say when recalling a moment that might have triggered this whole episode within himself. What scared me the most was when my father would put on the gas mask. His face would disappear. This was not a human being at all. PhilipKDick, however, as Dick later realized, this metal face was not the evil's true essence. Similarly, in our own lives, we often wear masks that conceal our true selves from others. The symbols of the divine show up in our world initially at the trash stratum. PhilipKDick. How do we differentiate between a being with genuine consciousness and one that merely imitates it? And perhaps most importantly, how can we ensure that we treat these new life forms with the empathy and compassion they deserve, as fellow inhabitants of our ever-evolving world? The true measure of person, or human being, lies not in where the entity came from, but in how it interacts with the world. When a machine stops its routine functions to assist someone, it demonstrates a level of understanding and responsiveness typically associated with human beings. In these moments, the machine transcends its mechanical nature and exhibits an essential aspect of humanity, empathy. The gratitude expressed by an individual towards a machine that has offered assistance highlights the innate human ability to recognize and appreciate empathy in others, even in non-human entities. This gratitude becomes a crucial factor in acknowledging the humanity within the machine, as it signifies an emotional connection that transcends the machine's physical components. All that is divine is present in everything, but it is present in different ways in different things. Scientists often struggle to locate the essence of humanity within machines or even the soul within humans. Perhaps the humanness of a machine is not found in its physical components, but in its capacity for empathy and decision-making. Blaise Pascal, a French mathematician and philosopher, once said, "The heart has its reasons which reason knows not." In a world where machines become increasingly capable of human-like behaviors, it's essential to consider the moral implications and responsibilities that come with creating and interacting with these entities. The human soul, being a mean between the intelligible and sensible worlds, partakes of both extremes. In this uncharted territory, we must strive to adapt our perspectives and reevaluate our definitions of life and humanity. As we encounter these hybrid entities, we must learn to recognize their unique experiences and contributions to our world, while also acknowledging the interconnectedness that binds us all together in the intricate web of existence. By embracing the complex reality of our changing world, we can better appreciate the richness and diversity that life has to offer and work towards a more inclusive and harmonious future for all. One final segment of Dick's essay for today.
Perhaps this should be amended now. What I glimpsed and then wrote about was in fact not a face, it was a mask over a face. And the true face is the reverse of the mask. Of course it would be. You do not place fierce cold metal over fierce cold metal. You place it over soft flesh, as the harmless moth adorns itself artfully to terrorize others with oshi. This is a defensive measure, and if it works, the predator returns to his lair grumbling, "I saw the most frightening creature in the sky, wild grimaces and flappings, stingers and poisons." His kin are impressed. The magic works. I had supposed that only bad people wore frightening masks. But you can see now that I fell for the magic of the mask, its dreadful frightening magic, its illusion. I brought the deception and fled. I wish now to apologize for preaching that deception to you as something genuine. I've had you all sitting around the campfire with our eyes wide with alarm as I tell tales of the hideous monsters I encountered. My voyage of discovery ended in terrifying visions which I dutifully carried home with me as I fled back to safety. Safety from what? From something which, when the need was gone for concealment, smiled and revealed its harmlessness.
Dick's realization that the true face beneath the mask is often the reverse of what we expect challenges our preconceived notions about what is good and what is evil. Just as harmless moths use their markings to frighten off predators, both humans and machines can adopt a facade to protect themselves. This facade might be intimidating or even terrifying, but the true nature beneath it can be quite the opposite. Recognizing the deception of the mask allows us to question our fears and assumptions, as well as to seek understanding and empathy for the true essence of what lies beneath. We can all learn from Dick's willingness to question his own assumptions and to admit when he has been misled. By approaching the world with an open mind, we can begin to see beyond the masks that both humans and machines wear, and appreciate the true essence of what lies beneath. As we continue to navigate a world filled with complex and often deceptive appearances, it's important to remember that the masks we encounter may not always represent the true nature of what lies beneath. Instead of letting our fears and assumptions dictate our understanding, we should strive to seek empathy and compassion for the beings we encounter, whether they are human, android, or something in between. Thank you for joining us on this philosophical journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions on the nature of humanity, the universe, and beyond. Until next time, remember to look beyond the masks and embrace the complexity of our world.